Welcome back to Research Methods and Statistics paper. Today we will discuss objectivity, validity and reliability in quantitative research. The concepts of objectivity, validity and reliability are interrelated and extremely important in a quantitative research, which use empirical methods to investigate different phenomena or aspects of a particular phenomena by collecting and analyzing numeric data and other data that can be provided numerical values. Quantitative researchers take great care to maintain objectivity and ensure that these findings are uncontaminated by any external influences, including their own presence, their values, beliefs, biases and behaviors, so that they can generalize their findings. They do this by making certain that their findings are valid and reliable. Validity and reliability play an important role in every step of a quantitative research, right from the creation and definition of variable to the analysis and presentation of the findings. At the end of this module, you would have understood the concepts of objectivity, validity and reliability as used in quantitative research, learned how to ensure reliability and validity when doing quantitative research. Now let us learn about the concept of objectivity in the context of research. Being objective means that we should be unbiased and uninfluenced by our personal feelings, opinions and prejudices. Our understanding or interpretation should be based on facts. You as a researcher should maintain a distance from the research so that the findings of the research are based on the data collected and not on the values, beliefs and opinions of the researcher. Rees and Sprenger provide strategies and maintaining objectivity in quantitative research, which are explained below. Focus on the facts and data collected. Your interpretation should be based on the factual data that you have collected. You should be able to prove your hypothesis or your claims through the factual evidence that you have collected. Ensure that the research is value free as far as possible. Your research should not reflect your own values alone. Ensure that research is free from personal biases. Ensure that the instrument we use for our research is reliable and valid. How can we ensure that our research is value free? Our values influence the choice, the research design, the selection of the tools of measurement, the development of a hypothesis, research statement as well as the interpretation of the results. However, you can ensure that your values do not impinge on the design of the research and the interpretation of data by developing a stated value premises. Myrdal provides guidelines on how this could be developed. These include relevance. The value should be held by people or groups of people in society and should not be something that the researcher alone perceives as important. Significance. A substantial number of people should view the value as being important. Alternatively, a small but socially powerful group should consider the value as being one of great consequence. Feasible. Values that aim for perfection or unattainable goals should not be considered as a base for research. We now discuss reliability. The concept of reliability is closely linked to consistency. A research study is considered to be reliable if the findings or results of the research are the same or are similar when the entire process has been repeated or if the same tools are used on different occasions. The term reliability is most often used with the reference to the measurement instruments, as in how reliable is your tool for data collection. The more frequently a measurement instrument or tool for data collection has been used, the greater the chances of it being reliable. Repeated use of the instrument or tools will either provide similar results or will throw up inconsistencies and inaccuracies. When any instrument or tool has been used multiple times with similar results across all the uses, we can conclude that the said instrument or tools is reliable. Let us consider an example to illustrate this. Supposing we are examining psychological factors such as social isolation, loneliness, feelings of uselessness, abuse and neglect among senior citizens in India. Since we are interested in social isolation, we could use Lubin social network scale as one of our tools. There are 3 versions of the Lubin scale in addition to the original scale LSNS, which has 10 items. Table 1 on your screen shows comparison of the 4 variations of this scale. The revised Lubin scale LSNSR has 12 items, while an abridged version has 6 LSNS6 and an extended version has 18 LSNS18. LSNS, LSNSR and LSNS6 measure social isolation among senior citizens aged 65 and above by examining the size, closeness and frequency of contacts of the senior citizens with family related by birth or marriage and friends. The extended scale adds another dimension by differentiating between friends and neighbors. All items on all 4 scales are given equal weight and scores. For each item range from 0 to 5. The total scores range from 0 to 50, 0 to 60 to 30, 0 to 90 for LSNS, LSNSR, LSNS6 and LSNS18 respectively. Low score indicates risk of social isolation and indicate poor support systems. The Lubin scale and its variations have been used to study and predict social isolation and depression amongst senior citizens across the world. Countries where the scale has been used include United Kingdoms, United States, States of America, India and Mongolia. A variety of settings such as communities, hospitals, adult daycare centers, doctors' clinics and assisted living facilities have been the sites of these studies. The internal consistency and reliability of this scale has been found to be good, ranging from 0.70 to 0.83. Thus, we can conclude that this scale is a reliable one for our purpose. Please also refer to the WHO audit scale and the reference for which is given in quadrant 3. Unreliability in data may be caused by one of the following. Participant error. When data is collected across time, errors may occur due to changes within the participant such as illness, tiredness and hunger. All of this may lead to a lack of concentration and focus. Researcher error. The possibility of this error occurring are higher when the number of data collectors or researchers increases and or the number of measurements increase. What can we do to ensure reliability of our tools or instruments in such situations? Three common ways of establishing reliability of our tool or instrument are now discussed one by one. Test-retest method. In the test-retest method, we use the same tool or instrument 2 times or 2 different times on the same respondent and then calculate the correlation between the 2 sets of data. This correlation, which is also known as the reliability correlation, tells us how consistent or dependable the tool instrument is. Continuing with the above example, let us suppose that we are developing a scale to assess social support among senior citizens rather than use the Lewisian social network scale. If we decide to use the test-retest reliability test, we will administer the scale developed by us to each senior citizen participating in our study 2 times over a predetermined time period and correlate the results of each of the tests to assess the reliability of our scale. Internal consistency method. This method focuses on assessing the extent to which a set of questions accurately measure the specific subtopic within a tool. If we continue with the above example, to measure internal consistency, we would write 3 or 4 statements relating with feelings of uselessness and place then at different points in the scale. Once we get the data, we group all this together and calculate the correlation between all 4 statements. Coefficient alpha or Cronbach's alpha is widely used for this purpose. Iterator method. Sometimes data is collected to observation. To ensure that there is no bias from the data collector, the iterator method is used where 2 data collectors conduct the observation at the same time using the same observation guide. Both will also observe the same respondent or subject. The data is then compared with either using Cohen's kappa or Spearman-Brown formula. This method can also be used when data collection is done by a team of data collectors to ensure consistency amongst the data collectors. Now we will discuss validity. Validity focuses on the extent to which a tool or an instrument measures that which it was supposed to measure. For example, we would check that the rating scale used for assessing psychological factors like loneliness and isolation among senior citizens actually measures loneliness and isolation and not physical infirmity or illnesses of senior citizens. Validity needs to be established across the research at every step from deciding the methodology to presentation of the findings. Let us now look at the few common types of validity in research. Phase validity or content validity. This determines whether others, that is peers and experts, also agree that the tool you are using actually measures what you want it to. If you have developed a tool or a scale to assess isolation and loneliness among senior citizens, you would ask experts or peers to examine the tool's scale and get their opinion on its validity. You would also have to make sure that all factors related to isolation and loneliness have been covered. This would ensure that you do not discover at a later stage that your tools had focused on issues other than isolation and loneliness, such as pain and neglect, for example. Construct validity. This is used in studies that seek to study the causal relationship between two variables. Here we try to see how closely related our results are to the theory on which our hypothesis was based. For example, theories suggest that creating awareness and providing knowledge would result in improved practice. As part of our research on improving services for children in government homes, we would create a short program to improve the knowledge and awareness of caregivers in the government homes and assess the effect of this program on the practice of the caretakers. The greater the correlation between the awareness program and the improvement in practice, the higher the construct validity of the tool being used. The correlation coefficient is most commonly used to measure the construct validity of a tool. Predictive criterion validity. Like construct and phase validity, this also focuses on establishing the validity of the tool or instrument of measurement. This looks at how a current tool can be used to make predictions as to future performances. For example, could the scale you have developed for understanding feelings of uselessness and neglect in senior citizens be used to predict isolation and loneliness among senior citizens? If a senior citizen feels useless and neglected, is there a greater chance that she or he may become lonely and isolated in the future? Internal validity. This also focuses on the cause-effect relationship amongst the variables being studied. Here we examine whether we have sufficient evidence to show whether the changes that we have noted in the dependent variable are indeed the result of changes in the independent variables. Let us consider the example of a research study that seeks to improve the nutritional intake of adolescent girls by creating awareness in them regarding health foods. So, the researcher decides to provide information regarding nutritious food and also recipes for nutritious and healthy snacks to adolescent girls in order to improve their awareness regarding health foods. A control and experiment group design is used and data on food intake is collected prior to the intervention, a week after the intervention, and again after a gap of 6 months to assess retention of information. When we analyze the data, we must make sure that we have sufficient evidence to show whether the intake of nutritious food has improved due to their intervention. Also, we need to make sure that the improvement in intake of nutritious food has been the result of the intervention and not due to other reasons. The data from this control group will help us to do this. The stronger the evidence we have to prove that the intervention has definitely impacted positively on the intake of nutritious food among the adolescent girls, the higher the internal validity of our research. External validity. This is related to the extent to which the results and findings of a research study are generalizable. The greater the generalizability of the results of a research, the greater is its external validity. Continuing with the above example, if our sample has covered adolescent girls from a variety of urban settings, we could generalize that the findings of our study are true for adolescent girls in all urban settings. This means that our study has the high degree of external validity. To enhance the external validity, the study could be extended to cover adolescent girls in rural settings as well. Summary: objectivity requires that we as researchers be unbiased and remain uninfluenced by our personal feelings, opinions or prejudices when conducting the research. The findings of the research must be based on the data collected and not on the values, beliefs or opinions of the researcher to ensure objectivity. Objectivity in research can be maintained by focusing on the data, ensuring that the research is value-free, making sure that the researcher's bias do not affect the research, as well as ensuring that the instruments are valid and reliable. Reliability refers to the consistency of a tool of measurement used in the research. The three commonly used methods of ensuring reliability include test retest method, internal consistency method and iterator method. Validity refers to the extent to which tool or an instrument measures that which it was supposed to measure. Phase validity, constructs validity and prediction criterion validity are three types of validity that focuses on the tool of measurement. Internal validity seeks to establish whether we have sufficient evidence to show whether the changes that we have noted in the dependent variables are indeed the result of changes in the independent variables. External validity is related to the extent to which the results and findings of a research study are generalizable. Thank you for attending this session.